Five. Take them for a quick little walkthrough. Over here, I'm going to have a special guest tonight. Tony Cola's back in the house with us. Going to talk about performance as we're moving towards the performance side of the engine as well. And I'm sure a lot of the guys out there, why are you worried about performance? Why are you worried about production? Well, it takes months and months and months to get aftermarket performance parts, and we want to make sure that we have performance pistons, performance gaskets. This is a production piston. This is a performance piston. Cams, rods, all kinds of different components and pieces. So we are focusing on that as well, because I know that there's guys out there that are going to want to have the Mac Daddy, and they're going to want to be the fastest guy at Glamis, or they're going to go to Outlaw, to Biffle's Outlaw Series, and want to drag race. So we got to think about that side of it as well. So not only are we thinking about production, we're thinking about the accessory aftermarket performance side of this business as well. So work with us through this, and we'll explain some of the stuff. So Tony Cola will be back on again with us tonight. Over here, we got some new pieces. This is our this is the base that goes under the back seat, and I will flick it over to the other side. So this is a custom-made base. This is what customer will receive. As you see, it fits in right there inside the frame. I just disconnected my mic. Sorry about that, guys. But that there sits inside the frame, and we'll show you that in our frame diagram. So these are production speakers. Aftermarket parts, obviously the standard door speakers, where we showed you where those go in the car. This is the production radiator. So we now have production radiator, production shrouding, the way it holds the fans, very different from what our aluminum one was. And obviously this comes in and holds the back body work. So production radiators are in the house, and tonight's gonna be a good night. We got some cool parts to show you tonight, and a bunch of really, really neat features. So stick with us, and Tony Cola will speak for about 15 minutes in the middle and talk about what he's been doing with the engines and what we're thinking about, so you guys have an insight of what's really going on besides just the production side of this. There's so many moving pieces here. It's honestly a bit mind-blowing at times, but the reality is, if we're not thinking of all these things from the get-go, we'll be in trouble when it comes to aftermarket performance. And I think tonight's show, I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. We found some cool stuff of Casey Curry's Dakar car. This is the factory Polaris Dakar car. We're going to show you some stuff of that, and we'll kind of move on. So again, Robbie Gordon here on Speed UTV behalf, show number 58 from Charlotte, North Carolina. And like I said, we've learned every single day, every single test, and try to get done. Tony, you need something? All right, cool. All right, like I said, we showed a couple days ago with Daniel, and I can probably slide over to it, or maybe Daniel can on this one. Could you pull up our funny video? The other day when we unboxed the clutches, I threw up an app add-on into the thing, and I was talking with Daniel and asking him if he loved them. He had no idea that I had hearts popping up and little love things hitting them, and he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he played along with it really well, and after it was done, it was quite funny because he had the heart glasses on and all the stuff. So we love the clutches. We like what TAP has done for us. We like what the manufacturer has done for us, and we'll be able to show you some examples. But this was Daniel had no idea that I had this this app up, and it was quite fun. So it was every day we try to have some fun around here. You love that? That was pretty nice. He had no idea that. So I know I'm gonna have one coming towards me here pretty soon.
We got primary clutch off the production line. This is forged and then machined.
Let's go ahead and move back to the show. This is some of the corny stuff that goes on. I know every aftermarket performance shop is always goofing like that, but I doubt that our friends over at Polaris and Can-Am are having fun like we're having. So I'm going to switch over to my screen over here. Daniel, you focused on this one? All right, perfect. So over on the right, this is a full billet machined clutch. This is what we basically solved our clutch problems with. This is Dave Forsyth from Tap Clutch. This is his production clutch, or his aftermarket performance clutch. And to be able to forge a clutch, we had to change some of the design, but we wanted the same function. So basically, we went to work together as a team and came up with a design basically almost overnight. And bang, here we are. Same function, but able to forge, which means we can compress the material and pull out of it. Where on this one here, there's so many undercuts, you would only be able to CNC 5-axis machine that. This is, again, the forged clutches on the right, or the billet clutches on the right and the forged clutches on the left. You'll see some small similarity or small differences, but in function, they work the same. And like I said, we'll be out running with these. The reason the clutches are not in my hands today is once we received them, we sent them back to Tap over in Canada. What town are they at in Canada?
What, Sycamoose?
Sycamoose?
Northern BC.
Northern BC is where Tap is located. So we overnighted the clutches to them. And I think when they got them in their hands, Dave and Alan were just as excited and happy as we were when we saw them, because they're very, very high quality parts for a production vehicle. This is the CAD, and this is where you go from CAD, and we've been talking about this for months, where people said, well, you know, CAD and real parts, you know, what are you doing? This is CAD, this is real part. So we've shown you all along, this is stuff that we have drawn in SolidWorks and then sent it off and had it forged and then finished machined. And this is one where you can see half of it is the actual part and the other half is the CAD with all the pieces and different highlights in it. But it really helps us work in this facility to identify edges and surfaces and what we want as a final part. So another one I think we hit a home run on. And then over here, every week we get new videos, new things, and you know, I just want you guys to really, really be careful out there. I mean, these cars, not only the Speed UTV, the Can-Am, the Polaris, they're dangerous, and you guys need to ride these things with common sense. But this right here shows that the design aspect of this car is not what I would do if I was going to build a UTV, and that's why we entered the marketplace. So there's another example of the Can-Am. Looks like that's probably out at Glamis. I do want to identify now into the CAD of the car and kind of explain that, you know, it's got a gusset here with a tube basically in the middle of a tube. And when you do stuff like that, you get to this point where the thing just fractures and breaks when you have too many tubes coming in and not enough support coming out. So this is a single rail on this side, has a bit of a diagonal going across here, and then I think it bends and heads back. And it's just very, very different than what we would do as a chassis designer. And based on years and years of either Baja or off-road or NASCAR experience, but you can see where it basically, you've heard people talk about the bulkheads just breaking off the front of the Can-Ams. Well, there's another perfect example. I hope these guys are okay that were in this car, but structurally, probably not the safest design out there. I want to take that and then go right into our Speed UTV 4-seater. And because we felt we needed a frame rail, we've got dual tubes right here. And by having a tube on the bottom and a tube on the top, this works like a frame rail. A lot of pickup trucks, you'll see a boxed frame rail. People talk about their frame rails on their pickups. We've got a frame rail, a dual frame rail going down through the side of the chassis here. I want to let everybody know that our minimum wall thickness on our chassis is 0.95. So earlier in the production process, people were saying, oh, you guys are going to be heavier than a Can-Am. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. The reality is, yes, we are, but for all the right reasons. Not just because I want to. It's because what it took to pass the structure test that I want to sell as a vehicle. And as you see here, we've got a bulkhead here. We've got structured V's into the front where the front diff section bolts on. You will not see our car basically pop up. Now we're okay, Daniel. We showed those last week. But the whole bulkhead basically plugs right onto here. I think I showed this plate last week and showed these pieces that we're starting to get in. But over here, more important to any of this is the spine. And the spine, you've heard me talk about this, and I'm sorry to bring it up again, but we got new people that haven't seen all of our shows. I want to brief everybody on what we've been doing from the beginning. But we've got a spine basically right here. And this guy right here ties all the way front to back and has a spine. And if you go back here and you look at the top of the Can-Am, it has nothing laterally holding the car left or right. So if you got into a tumble situation, the roll cage would actually just bend over. As you see, it has a massive opening right here as well. In my opinion, riding at Glamis, that's the last thing I want, is someone else to be able to drive their tire right into where I sit if we were to happen to meet at the top of the dune. So we've got the Intrusion Bars, but our Intrusion Bars are not like what you're going to see on Casey Curry's Polaris that I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. They're structurally integrated into our chassis. So the Intrusion Bars come right here, right into where the shock mounts are, comes into here, comes up to the V-bars, across the spine, splits to the rear shock mounts. And basically this thing has a complete structured spine over the top of the car that really holds us not only front to rear, but also left to right. So we've got some really good structure, as well as a rolled roll cage. So as you see this, there we go. There's a bit of an arc here in the top of our roll cage. Over here on this side, you'll see the arc. Think of a bridge. And you think of bridges, they got triangles, arcs. If you look at flatbed trailers today, they're even putting arcs on flatbed trailers because if you put an arc in it, it's a lot harder to push it down. So built a lot of structure in there. The reason we built the arc in there is we knew having a bend here, this was going to be a little bit weaker situation. And by putting an arc and then having A's in both corners, that was going to support the arc on both ends. This has to be like this or else you can't get into the back seat. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is as a function in general. Then I want to show something else that we've done as a production car that we're thinking about for not only aftermarket, but for safety. And we've identified all these little areas that have corner gussets. When I was talking with Bill Savage, one of the technical inspectors, very knowledgeable motorhead that's been around for a long time, he asked would I please consider it. And to be honest with you, for the few cents it really costs to put them in, a little bit of time, to have a larger weld gusset and opportunity in tube junctions for some gussets and corner gussets, I felt it was a no-brainer, but also it gave us an opportunity to mount the roof, gave us an opportunity to put a visor support in there. You know, you can put corner windows in here if you want to put corner windows as aftermarket, but they were really designed to be corner gussets for all critical joints. And roll cage, in my mind, is a very critical joint. And then I want to show the back thing of structure again. From the 2 pivot points, the most load is going to be right here and here. As you see, it goes into a triangle here that's forced into this triangle that runs right in the bulkhead. So the spine not only goes over the top, the spine goes front to rear in the car. A lot of structure. Really, it's what you would do if you were going to build a proper race car. And this is basically a race car turned into a production car, something that people can go out there and have years and years of fun. You know, I pride this on the Riviera truck. I was talking to Mark Post just the other day, and you know, we built that Riviera truck in 1992, 1993, and it's still competitive today in the trophy truck market. I think Kyle LeDuc put it on the pole a couple of years ago for the Baja 1000, and I think it was the benchmark for all current trophy trucks today. J-arm came out of that. Swing sets came out of that truck. There's so many parts that look like everybody else's truck that came from that Riviera truck. So this here is just years and years of experience, and we're sharing it with all of our customers, and we're teaching you along the way. And I'm sure there's some fab shops, as well as I've been told that my friends over at Articat tune into every week's show, and they make notes from it each week too. So I'm glad to see that. At least they're paying attention now. Last week we talked about wheel and wheel saw offset and how that affects your geometry, bump steer, toe, scrub. So many things are taken into consideration. And I believe it was 2 days ago, Daniel and myself, we always scroll through and pay attention to what especially the top industry guys are doing. And we saw a video that Casey Curry put out of his factory Polaris Dakar that he's down the Sonora Rally on. And we watched it. And once we watched it, we sat back in the chair. It's like, oh my God, are we either that far ahead of everybody, or are people just not paying attention? And I think I need to share this with you guys. And I'm a fan of Casey. I think Casey's a capable individual. I think he's a capable guy. This is not a bash on Casey by any means, but this car was built for the Dakar Rally, and this is a factory Polaris program. And wait until you guys see this. So on the Speed UTV, we'll first start with our car. Something we've worked on very, very hard is over here. This is a space of about 5-6 inches. And we basically have a forklift going to lift the suspension up, and watch the camber and watch the toe on that tire, and watch how it changes. And as it goes through the travel, you'll see it never goes to negative camber. You never a positive camber. It always stays negative from static to ride height and then full bump. By having camber gain in the front suspension, it actually lessens the track change because it pivots around the center of the spindle and it rocks the tire outward at the bottom, which by doing that, as you see here, it has about, I would say the front suspension total, left and right, is 5 inches of bump steer. We have cycled Can-Ams, or track change, not bump steer, sorry, track change. Has about 2.5 inches each side, 5 inches total. But we have cycled Polarises, we've cycled Can-Ams, and they're upwards in the 10 inches of track change, left to right. And when you do that and you hit a bump, it flicks the car left, and then it flicks the car right. But not only that, you got to make sure that you get your bump steer to stay in line as well. You hear a lot of NASCAR teams, bump steer, and you don't want to have much of that. You want the tire to be staying nice and smooth. Let's move into bump steer now. And is that the next slide? So I'm going to go to the next slide on mine. Daniel was cycling one more of this, but I want to identify something we saw. This was on Casey's video that he did, Beyond the Dirt. It was a very nice production. They did a nice job on it. Is that camera adjusted over? If you look here, you can see this tire is pointed straight. But you can look here, and I don't know how many degrees of bump steer that is, but it's massive. And when you put it into video form where you can actually watch it, it's scary. And so this is why I believe when people drive a Polaris or a Can-Am, they feel like they're hauling, and it's because they're chasing the car all over the place. But this is us testing in Arizona, and it'll show the thing going through the travel. And then this is what we saw from Casey testing. Obviously, the car goes very fast, but it looks like it's a complete handful to drive. Watch the tires on this video here. But more importantly, look at the bump steer and the positive camber and crazy track change that's going on with that car as it's going through the travel. Play that one more time, Daniel. So what you see here is you see the tires, and they're just literally all over the place. And this is what is very, very hard on the bearings. It's very hard on the steering. And you want to do everything you can to minimize that movement and to try to have it go straight as you possibly can down the road, which makes the car easier to drive, more fun to drive, and obviously much more under control. But this right here, I was very, very, very surprised to see this. I'm sure I'm going to get a phone call from this. I was blown away. I had to sit back in the chair, and I honestly said, this game just isn't going to be that hard, to be honest with you. And when you look at that, and then you watch the Unicorn, or you watch our Speed UTV, or you go back and you watch the other one, it's crazy. I mean, now you look at this thing go through the travel, and the tires stay straight. Has a little bit of track change, and this is what years of experience and really paying attention to details, and also having the tie rod on the front side. I know people think, oh, it's in a vulnerable position, but think about pulling on a rope or pushing on a rope. And in the front, you're always trying to tow out. When you have that tie rod there, you're always pulling that thing in tension. Maybe that Polaris doesn't have the static bump steer until it's loaded. And maybe we're seeing, as it's going through the bumps, all the deflection in the tie rods, because it's got a bent tie rod on it, and the steering mechanism moving around. But I bet when you cycle it, it's probably not that much. But under load, this is what you see. And this is what we saw back on the days of NASCAR 7-post, IndyCar 7-post, testing Baja with cameras located everywhere. We really identified how to support these certain structures and make sure that they're reliable, because that, my friends, is not good. So I'm sure I'm getting a call next week. It is what it is, but it's reality. I mean, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't show it. Crazy. But I mean, that's entertaining to watch. I'm going to tell you that when I designed cars when I was 15 years old, it wasn't that bad, ever.
What's cool is
Yeah, and then watch this car over here.
it goes in full droop and the wheels stay perfectly straight.
Yeah, then you watch our car over here. Full droop, tires are straight, didn't track change that much, and then you see that, and I don't know. Todd's probably going to call me on this one and say, "Stop beating a dead horse." But the reality is, it's shocking for me. Yeah, let's go hit the lights. We have our work light, or our work lights, rock lights, whatever you want to call them here. Bang, lights are off. Daniel's got the lights set up back here. I don't know if you can see that from the camera or not. We can go orange, we can go purple. Daniel's a purple guy. I think Daniel and Connor are into the purple. I'm not so into green. Blue looks pretty good. You can flash with them, or you can just turn them orange or white. Can I go white?
And a lot of people have already ordered these on their bills.
Yeah, so these are pre-wired into the wiring harness. A lot of guys have fun with these. They're great at desert races. If you're racing or out there and you get a flat tire, boom, you hit your lights and you can see what you're working on. And there's an app that you get to download on your phone, which allows you to play with the colors of the lights. I'd like to bring Tony back up to the stand here and talk about engines, talk about what we're doing with engines, because we're beyond the production engine. Don't get me wrong, we're not beyond it, but we go from production to performance, and we really want to make sure that we're ahead of the game. So, Tony, you want to? I'll take my IG mic here. You got one there.
I got one here.
So
Yeah.
just take this one.
You want me to have another one?
Plug that in.
Okay.
And I'll step over the other side.
All right. So what we've been working on since the production stuff's all lined up and getting produced, Robbie's got us working on performance. So we're going to take this engine and see how much we can get out of it. The three areas we're working on are ring seal, weight, and friction.
Okay.
So, talk about weight. So, in a rotating assembly, anything that goes up and down is reciprocating, and anything that goes around is rotating. So, we're knocking weight out of the piston, pin, and the small end of the rod. So, the more weight you take out of reciprocating components, the faster the engine revs and the more power it makes.
Okay.
So, as you can see, the piston pin in the race version is smaller than this, which is weight.
Which is weight?
Which is weight. All the aluminum around it, which is weight. Compression distance is smaller, which is weight. So everything we're doing to this piston is going to end up lighter.
Okay.
Pin's going to be lighter. Since the pin's lighter, the small end of the rod is smaller, so it's lighter. So we're knocking a bunch of reciprocating weight out of it. That's kind of basic.
How about the thickness of the piston? Are we thicker? Are we thinner?
The actual part of the piston that sees the load is we're not thinning that up, which is the crown. So we don't want to sacrifice the strength of the piston, because when these things fire, pistons bend in this direction. So if you take weight out of the crown, it's going to perform less. It's going to have more blow by.
Okay.
So we're not thinning up the crown any.
Are pistons round, Tony?
Pistons are not round. Pistons
So
are not
pistons
round.
are
so
not round?
Pistons are not round.
You mean the world is not flat?
The world's not flat.
Okay.
So I mean that's also part of the friction I was talking about. So in piston technology, it's called camming. So the piston is basically shaped like this in the ringland, and then the bottom they taper out and have cam in them. So when they fire and bend, you want them to be close to round when they're expanded and bent, so it reduces friction. So imagine this thing being round, right? Thing fires, when it bends, it's going to load that part of the piston. So that part of the piston is machined away, so that when it bends, it's not loading the cylinder wall. So that's all friction.
Okay.
So that's all in
So
this level of
so
engine.
we got piston, rods, cams, pins, rings, coatings.
Coatings. So we're working on coatings. We're working on Nicocel coatings for the cylinder walls.
And we reached out to our buddies over at, where's the head gasket at Cometic. And we've asked them to start making us very, very high performance. I'll grab this. We want to make sure that we have and we're ready for Cometic. I want to thank Bob and Jeff and everybody over there. But we now have an aftermarket performance head gasket already made. Working with, what's that? Five layer, which will allow how much boost?
We don't know, but it's going to be.
We don't know, but
we
a
don't
lot.
know yet. I mean, we've not even got this thing to even seep yet. So we'll keep raising the boost until we get that fifth layer to leak, and then we'll know.
Okay.
You know.
And so obviously this is where we'll work with Tony and Craig and all the guys have been working with us. But now we got very, very good head gaskets for high boost. And obviously you can see the bridge here. We got a nice wide bridge on our head gasket here, as you can see there. So I can pull up an old one back on one of our
Do you want
first
to talk about
gens.
why this is a better gasket over a production gasket?
Sure, please explain some of the technology that Cometic has and,
So kind of like
and the years you've worked with them.
A basic production gasket could either be a single layer, a 2-layer, or 3-layer. That's pretty standard in gaskets. A Cometic gasket, which is all we use because basically the best thing out there, it's a 5-layer stainless steel gasket. So what we call the 5th layer, and this is what makes it handle the high boost. There's a small 4th layer right in this sealing area right here, just in that area, so that when you torque the head down and it sees even load all the way around here, it loads the edge of that bore extremely hard so that when it lifts the head, it stays sealed. So
What do you mean lifts the head?
it actually lifts the head off the block. So when this thing fires, it has an excess of 1,000 pounds per square inch pushing down on that and pushing up. So it actually it can lift the head off. It does lift the head off the block. Yep.
And the head gasket is what keeps it alive, and the ARP studs. And
right.
when you start throwing boost at it, you got to have all the good parts.
Right. Correct.
So ARP studs, Cometic head gaskets, pistons.
But that head gas right there is like badass.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. So then the other thing we're working on is as you boost engines, you get more blow by. What is blow by? Blow by is every engine has a little bit of compression that shoots by the rings when it fires. Because like I said, you're talking about in excess of 1,000 PSI, pushing down that, little bit leaks by, goes in the crankcase, goes out. That's called blow by.
And that's what comes out the breather.
And that's horsepower law. Everything that comes out the breather is horsepower. So you don't want horsepower coming out the breather. So we work on ring seal really hard. So the better you seal the rings against the cylinder wall, when it fires, what's it going to do? Push the piston down harder. Instead of going by it, it's pushing it down. So that's why in the performance stuff, you'll see these gas ports in it.
Yep.
Little holes.
Yep.
So what that does, 1,000 pounds per square inch goes in the gas port, goes behind the top ring and pushes that top ring out against the cylinder wall and seals it. So now you don't want that on production motor because the harder you push on the ring, the faster it wears out. You don't want your production motor getting rebuilt every 3 weeks.
Okay, so this
Race
is this
motor.
is for boosted race motor.
This is race
rebuild.
stuff, right?
And when you think when we get into the performance side of it, what do you think potential? I guess it depends on how far we twist them and how hard you want to go. I mean, we can make
And it's that right. We'll gauge it by this. The better you seal the rings, the faster you're gonna have to rebuild it.
Okay.
So it's a toss.
So that's going to be the customer's choice as he wants to add an extra power.
Yep.
They could have a 500-mile bomb. They could have a 1,000-mile bomb, 2,500-mile bomb.
Cup days, right?
Yeah.
One race.
500
miles.
done. Complete rebuild.
Yep. But blow by numbers less than 1 CFM.
Okay.
But it's a rebuild every race. So that's the toss up, you know. But you're gonna get some of it. We'll probably go halfway. I mean.
Yep. Daniel, you want to ask a question?
Well, people that are going to want fully built motors, how are they going to be able to go about getting that in the years to come?
We're working on all the stuff together with all of our partners. Obviously, sharing the technology between each other, so that we can make very reliable performance motors. And with the tools and resources you guys have over at Arrington's, I mean, dynos and transients and all the things we can do to make them and really start to understand how long they're going to last. We're only going to know by pushing them hard.
Yeah, put on the dyno and lay the throttle open and see.
And then take it to the desert. But the desert's been pretty gnarly. It's been pretty neat experience, huh? Yeah,
very. Yeah. But then coatings, we've got phosphate coatings we're working on, anodizing, Nicosil. Just get friction out of the motor.
Yep. Friction and weight.
Friction and weight.
Friction, weight, and
ring
boost.
seal.
And boost.
And boost. Ring seal. Ring seal, ring seal, ring seal.
All right. And then again, it still comes down to the old saying, they all make the same power when the butterflies are shut. So when you have bump steer and your car is dancing all over the road, you're going to be off the throttle longer than we are. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about tonight? Or we'll get into it as we get into
a lot, man.
As we start getting into the blow up section where we basically throw the wood to it, like Tony said, and stand back. You saw me one of the first couple days when we were in the dyno. I don't think we'll be in the dyno because we're going to do everything we can to make real power. But this is for racing purposes only. I want to make sure everybody understands this is race stuff. And the reason why you have to work on race stuff is 12 weeks, 14 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, could be a half a year before we see certain components. And if we're not thinking about that today, the dune season will be over and we won't have high performance aftermarket accessories as well for our customers. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I think I'll go back. We got more? What else do you have more? You got exciting stuff?
So don't forget we're working on that. We're working on that next.
Yep.
After we get the short block where we're happy with it,
yep.
Then it's time to lift the cams more, work on valve weight, work on valve train weight. That's a whole nother world. Valve trains. Whole nother world.
We got some exciting.
We're not done?
Couple parts, yeah. I threw in last minute.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're not done.
Let me get back to this then.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining us, Tony. I do appreciate your expertise.
Popular request, they wanted Tony back.
They wanted Tony back.
Yeah, nice grand white.
And we'll do it again. This one here, I'm going to take back from you, this guy. Anything else you want to say, customer? Or the fans? Nope.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
It's going to be fun.
Exciting stuff.
It's going to be exciting.
Thank you.
For sure. After we beat this first over, bring all the pieces back and explain
why it went like that.
Yeah.
And as you see over here on the screen over to the right, Daniel, I don't know if you picked this back up over here again, but last time we were on the dyno, when he says lay the wood to it, he's talking about hold it wide open and look at the exhaust. Look at the exhaust temperature. This was on a 5-minute pull of wide open throttle, but we are working on reliability of stuff as well. This is production-based stuff, and now obviously the new stuff will be high-performance aftermarket. Oh, what do we have here? Daniel, what do you got? You got pretty lights.
Yeah, people thought the stickers weren't real.
Oh, I thought we were going to production with stickers, headlights and taillights. NASCAR style. I mean, just get on with it. Unicorn style. Just kidding. I'm sure you guys all know, but making custom headlights and taillights is almost as long as process of getting engines made, especially in today's market. So this is the production taillight. as you can see it here. Maybe Daniel can zoom it in better on. I can probably zoom in better on my screen. So production tail lights in lit up, and brake lights.
So you have marker light, running light, and then brake
Marker, running, and brake light. So you can see the side of the car. So the light actually wraps around the side of the car. So there's a side light as well that lights up. So we don't have the yellow reflective sticker like other manufacturers. We actually have a side marker light there. And headlights. I know you guys have been asking for them. Bing, here you go. There's the lit up bezel. It's all built into light. I told you I like the way that the Audi was back in the day. Really wanted to have this look on the Speed UTV. And this is obviously both lights in both positions working over here. So those are turned on for you. And then the S in the grill does light up. So there's your lit up S. I love that from the Mercedes. I thought that was a really, really cool look. And then this is the under grill that connects to these lights. So the under grill would continue along this one and from left to right on the vehicle. Daniel's going to pull one up on his so you can see it all lit up. So lights, in the beginning of the show, I showed you production radiators, production shrouding, all formed plastic. Actually, Shrek and our guys do an awesome job in fabrication. But when you go off and make a mold like this to be able to hold the fans, the components you can make when you really, truly kick off production tooling is awesome. And there's the whole smile that we were talking about. I may want to adjust my phone over there, Daniel.
I was just missing the S.
Yep, this one here does not have the lit up S, but you can see the smile. And then we'll come back over to my side one more time. And there's the bottom of the smile. There's the lit up S. And here's the headlights. This is actually the top. It runs down and runs along that side. So it's got full eyebrows and smile all the way across because we really deliver smiles at Speed UTV. These things are fun, and there's no reason your car shouldn't be smiling as well. Just remember, though, you put that thing upside down, that's going to be a frown for sure. It's going to go from smile to frown. Tie rods, production tie rods are here. All flat spot for where you tie your tie rod. Laser etched S, rubber booted. We'll probably see a couple more changes of this style, but there's boots on inside and out. And my phone has been ringing since we started. So I will take 3 calls tonight. I'm just going to grab them myself. So hang tight. When I answer, I answer. And again, thanks for tuning in tonight. Headlights, aftermarket, performance engines, chassis structure, bump steer. We learned a lot tonight in bump steer. And Tony's going to continue to teach you a lot about engines as we get closer to hot rod high performance. What's it called? UTV Outlaws? We're coming to play.
Tell them about that. One fun fact.
One fun fact?
One fun fact. All that mass right there.
All that mass.
How many times does that go up to the deck?
Oh, that's right. That's right. You gave me that number. What is it again?
Every second.
Every second.
So it's basically, that's like 2 pounds of mass, 2 pounds. Right?
Maybe
2 pounds of
more.
mass. Yeah.
Okay. How many times a second?
160.
100.
Do that?
No, I'm not going to do this. It's 160 times a second?
A second.
A second.
1 second. 160.
I get 2. I get 2 maybe in a second. Jesus.
92. Yeah.
You guys are rude over here. I got to stop this. You guys are being hard on me. I want to show dealer display. This is what we'd like our dealers to start thinking about for displays in their dealerships. And we're working on all that stuff. Daniel's working on that. And I'm going to take some phone calls. So next time it rings. Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon tonight. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you at?
I'm sorry. I'm in Phoenix.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. How you doing?
Good. 807.
807. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for choosing Speed UTV. Tonight's show probably got a little bit of personal with some people, but at the end of the day, you know, we're showing everybody what's real.
Yeah, amen. It's awesome. Just excited about what you guys are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Not having a heartache about waiting.
Well, thanks. You know, it's a little hot in Phoenix to be riding right now anyways.
Yeah, amen to that. Hey, backup camera back in the day you talked about. Are we going to have that?
We do not have that as an accessory yet. Obviously, all the interface and stuff has not been done on backup camera, but something that Dash will be able to accept it is what Daniel's saying, and it's something we're working on. We just don't have it done yet. We had other items that were more important to get this thing down the road. Can I get your master number one more time?
807.
807, your name?
Jeff McDowell.
Jeff. And what size are you, Jeff?
Large.
Large. Perfect. Got a Speed UTV t-shirt coming for you, caller number one tonight. Go ahead and ask one more question if you want.
Nope, I'm good. I'm excited and can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you joining the show.
Amen. Thank you, Bob.
All right. Thanks. All right. One caller tonight. Let's see if we got another one. Nope. No callers. It's happening. Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon. How you doing? Not going.
You gotta, when it rings, you gotta hit the speaker on.
All right.
Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon. How you doing?
There you go. You're on. How's it going? Oh, he hung up.
This is awesome.
Hey, you're on with Robbie Gordon. How you doing?
Hey, good. How's it going, man?
Doing good. You got a car with us?
Yes, sir. Number 1410.
1410. All right. What's your name?
My name's Luke.
Luke. How's it going tonight?
Hey, pretty good, man. Hey, wondering about during the testing, how the CVT, the belt temps are holding up.
Belt temps have been very good for us. The whole time at San Felipe, we didn't lose a belt the whole time there. Went around that course about 3 times. Did a lot of highway sections as we cut back and forth. Call it 600-700 miles in San Felipe, which is pretty gnarly hoops or whoops, however you want to say it. And it was hot down there. It wasn't cool. It was high 80s, low 90s, which is right about the edge of riding weather temperature. But we didn't have any issues. Temps were good and clutches were good. We had a little bit of clutch drag at the end of it, which that clutch had about 1,300 miles on it without being cleaned out or really washed really good. So it had some buildup down the bearings. We were a little tight on our tolerances. We've adjusted that, and we've been doing stuff on the clutch dyno and other things, making sure we got the reliability for you guys.
That sounds pretty good, man. It seems like a weak point on a lot of UTVs. I was watching Justin over at Shock Therapy was having problems with his belt temps when he was racing the other day, and they were only able to run 70 miles an hour instead of 90. And
yeah,
it seemed like that could be a big problem if you guys couldn't manage the temperatures.
Well, that's another thing by having the sequential gearbox where we can shift between low, high, and overdrive on the fly. That will allow us to also reduce RPMs and still maintain speed. And a lot of our clutch temperature issues are based off RPM. So having a turbocharged engine that can make roughly the same power at 7,000 as it makes at 8,000. It's got a very flat power band on it with a lot of flat torque. But that obviously helps us, and being able to shift that thing into overdrive, that should help us as well. But we've also focused on the cooling. I don't know if you saw our clutches have massive fans on the outside and on the inside, and they both have them on the inside and outside. And we've got a bit of a wind tunnel flow throughout the CVT cover as well. And then, last but not least is the CVT cover, the first in the industry that has an actual tie bar built into it, where it has bearings on the outside of the clutch, which keeps those things from pulling, which is going to keep us better aligned. If you can keep your alignment better, kind of like the bump steer, you're not loading one side of the bell to the other side, which will eliminate more heat again, and also be a lot easier on your main bearings, on your engine, and on your differential, because they're all tied together, and they're basically put the CVTs in double shear as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm just looking forward to it. Stoked about everything you guys show us on the channel. So I'm just looking forward to it, man. Can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And you were caller number 2. I'm taking 3 callers tonight, and that's going to be it. But thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week for more. And every week, as you see, it's like Christmas. Honestly, we get more and more production parts. Remember, once we see one headlight, it's very easy to see hundreds of them because it's all about the process of making the molds and get the stuff where we can mass produce them.
Sweet, man. Well, I appreciate it. Hey, how about that T-shirt?
You got it. That's you. You got. That's what I was asking. I needed your size though.
XL would be great, man. Thank you.
XL, no problem. Thank you very much, and good talking to you, Luke.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Have a good night. Hey, you're caller number 3 with Robbie Gordon. You are the winner tonight. How's it going?
Oh, hell yeah. What's up, Robbie?
I'm doing good. What's your name, bud?
Tommy.
Tony. How about this? You get Tommy. All right. What size are you?
I'm part of something, man. Triple X.
XL, triple X. What are you?
Triple X, man.
Triple X. Awesome. What? Let me guess. You got an El Jefe, don't you?
No, I got the.
Ah, man, I figured triple X. You're gonna slide that seat back a little bit more. All right.
Diablo, man.
What's your master number, just so I get your address?
It's 2152.
2152. You also are getting a RG Speed RC car heading out to you tomorrow.
Nice.
Any questions for tonight, or how'd you like tonight's show?
Oh, it was awesome, man. Man, that guy's amazing.
Yeah, no, thanks. It's pretty gnarly when you start looking at about where other cars are, what we're doing, the process, how we got there, why we got there. I think people like to see that stuff. So we keep getting, show us more of this or show us more of that. But honestly, the whole Polaris thing, we just tripped across that on Wednesday. We were just following what Casey was doing, heading down the Sonora Rally, and they had that video, and it's like, hold on a second, stop. Can you put that in slow motion? And I honestly couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah, that was cool looking.
So kind of goofy looking, but obviously they'll be addressing that issue as soon as they get back from the Sonora Rally. You can go to the bank on that because I know Casey has a good buddy of mine, Paul Michelle, over there, and I'm pretty confident Paul will figure it out. But sorry I had to point him out on it tonight, but I couldn't help myself. Any questions?
Yeah. I'm trying to get through for like a year now.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Thank you for being a customer, Tommy. I want to thank everybody else that has bought into this whole program with us. We've shared our knowledge over the last 40 years of motorsport, and we'll continue to learn and continue to show because obviously it's time to build the best car in the business. So thank you.
Can I just give a shout out real quick to somebody?
Yeah, give a shout out, please.
I want to shout out to the Mexican RG. What's up, man?
Cool. And just because I want to repeat that, we said Raul Gutierrez.
Yeah, Raul Gutierrez.
Raul Gutierrez. Salute, he said. And thank you very much. I do appreciate everybody, and looking forward to riding with you guys. I'm sure I've ridden with you before at Glamis or out in the desert. A lot of our sales have been on that western region, and we're looking forward to getting out there ripping it around this winter. So thank you, guys.
I appreciate it, Robbie. Thank you.
Have a good one. Everybody else, thank you very much for tuning in to Show 58. We'll be back next week for Show 59. Have a good night. Be safe.